real kind of way. We studied China in this room. We studied Hawaii with Mabel, and Louise Rockwell, who lived in Hawaii, came and helped us dress. We made everything out of clothespins, and we had clothespin dolls that we made to put in our sand table geography projects. So we had a much better sense of geography than kids today, I think, have, because we would study one particular country, read the literature, make the maps, spend a lot of time in depth, really getting a feel of what it was all about. That experience, I don't think you can ever recreate the intensity of that kind of learning. We were carrying it with us all the time. And as time has gone on, my attachment to China, after I studied it in this classroom, has gone for years and years and years. And every time I see a movie, when I saw The Last Emperor, I was immediately taken back to my classroom at the organic school when we made the buildings of the city of Peking in order to go into our sandbox. It's that sort of first intense impression that then just reverberates through the rest of your life. And I think you're right about academics. Even Bennington College, which prided itself on being a progressive school, never got the kind of feel that you got at the organic school. It never could, I think, pull together that kind of intensity of getting into the material and really going with it. I didn't get that again until I got to a master's program that was entirely self-directed, and it began to feel like the organic school feeling again, and that was exciting. But I think it's very hard to find undergraduate schools where organic school students are going to feel that same kind of comfort with what we've learned to do. But I wouldn't trade that education for anything. I walked Jonathan the other day through the gully, and Jonathan is my sister's husband, and we took the nature trail that's over back of the art museum because I wanted him to get some sense of how important gullies were to us growing up in Faro. And Mabel had us out in the gullies all the time, reading stories, playing, again doing all of that creating of our own world, that just, it remains such an intense memory of education, in contrast to being a passive learner.
I had that same, you talk about China, that same phenomenon, only for some reason what got to me was Pan American Day.
Mm-hmm.
And also we had some book to read, which I haven't seen it since, but I would know it if I found it. It was about a brother and sister who lived in Brazil. And that's when I determined that I was going to somehow get my hands on those fruits that they talked about. Mangoes, papayas, all that good stuff. And learn the language, if I could. And we started Spanish here with a woman who spoke German. She spoke Spanish with a German accent. I can't remember her name, but that would have been in 59 and 60, and 60, 61. And I just kind of absorbed the study of the foods. Remember we had a Pan American Day dinner. We celebrated it during the day, had a Pan American dinner at night, and Verda would cook peach and peanut butter stew for the whole crowd, enough for the whole crowd, which was, when I tried to look it up, it's a Venezuelan recipe. There I go on food again. And then I think the continuation of that was that I started Spanish as soon as I got to Grinnell, and I think 1961. I think it was that fall that you sent me a little clipping where President Kennedy announced the Peace Corps. And I determined that I would learn Spanish and go to South America in the Peace Corps, which I ended up doing. And I wouldn't trade that. I think that those are the antecedents, you know, of what we do. Just like now, you know, I'll probably never go a week without doing some kind of craft that had its origins in the organic school.
Tell us a little bit about your families, and what you've done since you've come out. Where, for instance, did you get your master's?
After I graduated from college, I really felt that I was ready to spend some time in the workaday world. I think that's another thing about the organic school, is that it never, education wasn't in school and out of school. Education was life, and somehow she created an environment for us here that made that happen, and that was really exciting. College didn't really do that for me, and when I was finished with it, I felt as if, even though Bennington did have some good real world experiences, I really felt as if I wanted to get some time under my belt in the real world working. And I did that, and then I had the opportunity to work in a program that was run by Antioch College, which of course has some antecedents with the organic school. And their graduate programs were kind of scattered across the country. They were very much for working professional people. In fact, the requirement was that you continue your job, whatever it was, and that your learning be related to your work. And that, of course, was that old organic model again that I found very, very exciting. The interesting thing was that this happened to be a program based in Boston, and they were reaching out to a tremendously diverse community in Boston. I went to school with a black gentleman who had delivered the mail all his life and was now retired and wanted to go back to college and work to get a degree so that he could work in the schools of Roxbury. He was the first person in his family who had ever gone to college. So that we had a tremendously diverse, and that was the way the school was structured, a tremendously diverse population of human beings. And it was assumed that we would learn from one another. And that was, again, that old organic pattern. Very little work, again, they would sort of give you a direction and then wait for you to go with it, which was very exciting to me because it felt, again, like the organic school. So I really enjoyed that. I now, in my professional life, run a pediatric program, a pediatric health and education program for children in rural Massachusetts. And while I haven't been able to create an organic school, our goal has been to help families create for their children a warm and loving and nurturing environment, and to try to help them find the resources that they need to do that. And I think it comes from my wanting other children to have so badly what I had. My children went to public schools, although in their home life we certainly tried to give them a good dose of organic kind of education. And what happened was we totally, they got such a good dose of it that both of them, one of them left her public school, high school experience at the end of the 11th grade and went on to junior college because she found that it was so much, it worked so much better for her, and is now going after a master's in fine arts. So she very clearly is more comfortable the organic model. My second daughter did it even earlier. She dropped out of high school in 9th grade, and she's absolutely a self-directed learner. I can't get her anywhere near a classroom, except in odd kinds of ways. Tony, my youngest daughter,